this video will show you 5 signs that there is a global awakening happening. I'm going to share with you ways that you can make sure you're a part of it so that you can have the biggest amount of impact possible. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you those 5 signs that you can look for that are all around, just a matter of us really shifting our perspective. And what I want to do is help you understand that one of the reasons you are here is to help with this global shift. Now it doesn't mean that you have to constantly be helping other people, but what I do mean by this is that you wanted to be a part of this process, and that I firmly believe that in this time right now, this is one of the best times to ever be alive. Now what does that mean? Well, it means also that I'm implying that we are an immortal spiritual being having temporary human experiences, that we each have a certain purpose in life, and that as a collective we've decided to go through a collective transformation that has been happening, that will continue to happen, and that we are in the middle of right now. Now I know this video is a little bit more esoteric from a lot of the other videos that I've done, but what I want to do is to show you a lot of the what I talk about when it comes to awareness and when it comes to consciousness, how we can apply this at a mass scale, because I really do believe that right now there's a global shift happening. Even though we might look around, we might say what it looks like there's a whole bunch of chaos, that is a part of the process, and that is also one of the signs. Now I'm going to show you this quick chart that I've shown in many videos before that we've used for individual consciousness on understanding how to raise our vibrational set point, and this is a chart from the book called Power versus Force, which is on the different levels of consciousness, and as you can see, there's different emotional states of being. Now the idea is that as we let go of lower emotional states of being, we're able to raise our consciousness, and you'll see that at the bottom you have shame, fear, guilt, you have anger, you have willingness, neutrality. Neutrality is when we learn how to observe it. It's when we start to really wake up and we're able to, this is where like meditation comes into play, we're able to observe it, not react so much from it. Then eventually we get into more of willingness, love, peace, joy, and those are the higher states of consciousness. Now the idea is that looking at this scale right now, not everyone on the planet has to be at a higher ring for there to be a global shift happening, because as people start to raise their consciousness, it only takes a certain amount of people that's at the level of love, joy, and peace to affect millions of people because of that level of consciousness and because of that state of being. Now think of it, somebody that is enlightened has the ability to influence millions, if not billions of people because of their energy and because of their state of consciousness. Now you may have seen this with some people that were enlightened that did have a huge impact on people, and even after now they are passed on, they still have an influence on people because of their writings, their videos, or whatever it is. Now nonetheless, slowly but surely there is a collective raise in our vibrational set point, there is a collective raise in our consciousness, and we are moving, even though it seems like a lot of the lower emotions are being triggered, but for a lot of people, the idea is as certain people, even if it's just a small majority, or maybe if it's just a small amount of people, there are people that are popping from the lower realms of maybe reasoning, of maybe understanding the intellectual ideas, and they're starting to move out of the surviving and into the thriving, or into the higher realm of consciousness. So the idea is that you don't need to everyone on the planet has to move from the lower rings to the very higher rings. It could just be that people generally are moving into the mid rings or towards the higher rings, but that those people influence the most amount of people. Now, this is something that we can realize because part of the process is understanding that things will break down, things will not work anymore, the old systems will start to go away, and I think that if you look around right now, you'll see that that's happening at a mass level. Now, the first sign that there is a global awakening happening is simply that more people are interested in this type of information than ever before. More people are learning meditation, more people are understanding that their thoughts are creating their experience, more people are getting down to the spiritual aspect of who they are, and they're starting to connect with themselves at a much deeper level. Now I think that if you look around and you look at the YouTube channels that are really growing, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of YouTube channels that are growing because there's more of a demand for people to know this type of information. Whereas 10 or 15 years ago, it would have been really far out there and people really wouldn't have been that connected to it. So I encourage you that if you're watching this video, that you at some level resonate with this idea, or you're at least open to it, and that because of that, that is a sign that there is a global awakening happening. Now, the second sign has to do with the breaking down of old systems. So if you look around right now, if you look at even the US government, there's a lot of things that are shifting, and there's a lot of people, especially with the last election, that were very aware that the system we have just simply is not working, because it's almost like you have to choose one or the other, but both options are something that you don't even really want to choose when it comes to the different parties, when it comes to the way things are run. And because of that, it's becoming more people are becoming more aware than ever that things just aren't working and that old systems are just outdated. So as more and more people become aware of this, what is happening is people are starting to take the power back. People are starting to ask new questions like, okay, why choose this or this when we could revamp everything? I believe that over the course of the next 5-10 years that the political system will change radically, simply because old systems are falling away, old paradigms no longer work the way they used to, and if you look around the world, this is also happening at a global scale. This isn't just the US government, but what you'll notice is that this is a part of the process. This is okay. Let it be what it is. Realize you don't have to get so ingrained in it. You don't have to necessarily watch the news all the time or really get emotionally triggered by it. But what you can learn to do is to at least be aware of it. And that as you do that, what you do is you start to realize that it's all part of the process. A lot of times on that scale of consciousness, the lower emotions, you have to process them. They have to start to fall apart. You have to become aware of them, and then you can start to transcend them, because as you observe, as you don't give it so much emotional credence, you start to let go of its emotional pull, and then you can raise your own level of consciousness. Now, the third sign that there's a global awakening happening has to do with people simply trying to find their purpose. Now, people are working 9-to-5 jobs. There's a lot of people that just simply don't enjoy what they're doing. There's more people than ever that are wanting to find their purpose and wanting to do what they want to do for a living. Now that I have a YouTube channel, and this is my full-time thing, and this is what I absolutely love doing, I get people almost every day that reach out to me that say, how do I do what I do? How have I turned this into my full-time job? What did I do to grow my YouTube channel? I get asked this almost every single day. I do my best to help as many people as I can with it, because I believe that there's so many people that can be doing this. I think the internet is so big. I think that people's ideas are valuable, and I think that the more people that tap into this, the more people that can really start to live from this place. You know, I used to work a sales commission job. I worked a sales commission job for years, and it wasn't my passion. I did it, but I noticed also that there's so many people, even when I was there at the job that I had, I realized there's so many people I worked with that wasn't their passion. They were just doing it because they made decent money doing it. Now people are becoming aware that that doesn't really serve. Now you'll also see that if you look around, there's about to be some disruption when it comes to all of the different industries, because we have companies like Amazon, we have companies that are really transforming the way that people consume goods. The idea is there's a lot of brick and mortar stores that won't be around in the next 5, 10, 15 years. And that's not a fear thing. That's kind of like the Industrial Revolution, right? Back in the day. It's not that there'll be so much pain and suffering, but people will have to find different things that they are passionate about or different things to do for a living. Now that can be very exciting. And as people detach from the old paradigms, detach from thinking they just have to go in for 9 to 5, they have to work 40 hours a week, and they start to buy into themselves and do what they're passionate about, they'll see that that carries them in a much different way. And I think that that's a sign right now, since there's so many people that are intending to find their passion and that are wanting to get out of where they are currently and into something new, that I think that's a sure sign that there is a global awakening happening. Now, the fourth sign that there's a global awakening happening has to do with the energy and the power going back to the people when it comes to finances. Now, what I mean by this is actually cryptocurrency. Now, normally the paradigm is that there is a centralized government that owns the banks or corporations, and the banks own all the power, even though none of the money that are in the banks is backed by gold since like 1970 something. The idea is that we give it so much power. Now, understand first off, the idea of money is only the meaning we put into it. We say that those $100 bills have meaning, therefore when we go somewhere, we exchange good. It's like agreed upon type symbol, so therefore we go, we pay for things, we get goods in exchange. Now the idea is that what is happening is that is going away. There's going to be more and more of a trend from now, and it's not really a trend, it's just a new paradigm. It's going to be people then understanding that the people can have the power versus the decentralized or the centralized type governments that are controlling everything, including the banks, which are corporations. So what's happening is now there are cryptocurrencies that are coming out that are decentralized, that are open source. This is not just something that's a fad. This is something that will be around. This is something that is changing the whole scope, changing the whole paradigm, and I believe that it is part of a global awakening, because we are awakening to that the old system is no longer working. This is the new way, and this is how we can go about it, and this can really change society as we know it, and I believe that it will continue. The fifth sign having to do with global awakening has to do with something that I really wasn't going to share on this video, but I think I'm going to go into it. Now, it's something that you may have been seeing on the news. They have been coming out with information that has to do with understanding the possibility of ETs existing, of extraterrestrial. Now, the idea that we are the only ones in the universe is something that's starting to become very outdated. More people than ever are realizing that it is highly, highly probable that we are not the only ones. Now, what this means is that we are becoming more aware of who we are becoming more aware of just what is possible in the universe, and that is really expanding our level of awareness. Now, this has been trickling down for years through whistleblowers, but now it's actually on mainstream news. I was at the gym the other day. I don't watch the news, but I was with my gym. I was at the gym the other day, and I was seeing on the news, and it's like right there on mainstream media, of a government official saying that they have seen it many times. They have seen extraterrestrials, they have seen some type of ships, that there was a whole bunch of money that the government put into it years ago that Harry Reid approved of. It's something that's going to continue to trickle down, but that's part of a global awakening, because as we start to break down our old belief system of thinking that we're the only ones here, it then expands our level of awareness, where we can become more aware of who we really are. Now, this is something that I think will continue. I think that it's been around for a long time. Like, there are a lot of people, I believe, that deep down believe that there are ETs that do exist, that we are not the only ones in the whole universe, and that as we become more aware of that, we tap into more of who we are. Now, actually, I've had a family member, I've never really shared this before, but I've had a family member that was somebody that was a part of some government operations that he was a part of for, like, I don't even know how much of this I can actually share, but he's not a part of it anymore. But nonetheless, he was a part of it for about 30 years, and he pretty much has said that he's not allowed to really talk about much of it, but it has to do with knowing that the government is very much aware that there are many different types of races. They've been doing experiments on it for years, and it's something that I find very interesting. That is what he did say, though. He did say that the government does for sure know about it. The government has been afraid, and even the government, what do I mean by the government? Because what we think of as the government may not actually be just the full picture. There may be things going on behind it, and that's just kind of a facade. I don't really know. All I'm saying is people are becoming more aware that ETs do exist. They're becoming more aware that they're breaking down their old belief systems. They're realizing that they can expand their consciousness, and that as they become more aware of all of these things, that is raising the level of awareness, and more people are becoming more aware of who they are and who we are collectively, because I believe that we are all connected. Now, another part of this is understanding that we can all raise our vibration, and that there's powerful ways we can do this. What I've done is created a free MP3 guided meditation that will allow you to raise your vibrational set point and to raise your level of consciousness. This is something that I recommend you listen to for about 21 days straight. I think it can absolutely transform your life if you apply it, and I'm going to go ahead and put it right in the description box below for you. So, as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you guys liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification gear so that you can see the daily vids that I do. And other than that, as always, I'll see you guys on the next vid. Peace, much love, and namaste.